Dibbles and Bits.
Man balls.
Excuse me?
We didn't talk about it yet. We haven't talked about it yet.
The head coach of Duke, very upset, said it's an embarrassment to women's college basketball that they played the first half of their game versus Florida State with a men's basketball.
Now, the ACC has come out today and said they cannot confirm that. They're not going to verify it, and they're not going to honor a protest for the game. The game is in its place. The game was, according to the ACC, used with a woman's ball the entire time. Where does Kara Lawson get this? Well, her players went, I guess the stat was 7 for 34 from the field from the first half. The players made mention that they think that it might be a men's ball. There was a comment made to the official to switch
one of her
the ball.
assistant coaches went up and challenged what ball they were using at halftime. And they swear, Kara Lawson and her staff, that the refs changed the ball at halftime.
Florida State, the team they were playing, had no qualms about the basketballs, and the basketballs fine.
Well, that's our thing. That, listen, whether the conditions outside, sometimes people are like, well, this is the weather related thing or what. Florida State's playing with the same ball you are. They're not switching balls when they are dribbling up the court. It's the same whether it's a men's ball or a woman's ball. And to give people an idea, a woman's ball is an inch smaller in circumference and diameter of the ball, and it's 2 ounces lighter?
Yep. Yeah. I've been in so many different scenarios where men's basketball and women's basketball is kind of being played simultaneously within the same gym, whether it be high school, college pickup, or otherwise. And there are sometimes some men's balls and some women's balls that are floating around there. And every time, before a pickup game, if I have a women's ball in my hand, I know right away. And it'd be games. I know games that we like, is this a man's ball? It just feels small. It just feels small. You check it. How hard would that have been? How hard would that have been?
First of all,
I get a tape measure out.
Because when they started using different balls, I happened to be playing basketball in high school. And yes, we loved shooting with volleyballs and the women's balls because they're just a little bit smaller, so you can palm it and dunk and whatever. But here's the statistics that really don't show an improvement playing with the men's or the women's ball for Duke in that game. So they were 7 for 34 in the first half. They were 12 for 38 in the second half. There's not that much of a difference. So, and listen, Florida State, they were 10 of 30 in the first half and 14 for 31 in the second half, which is better.
And most officials, they really do.
Their shooting percentage went up in the second half.
Officials before the game, I've seen it every time. They inspect the basketballs.
All right, here's my idea. Mark them.
I think
Put
they
a W on one and an M on the other. But here's the thing that we both agree on. Both teams, Florida State and Duke, played with the same ball in the first.
Same ball.
All right, so we go through this in AAU baseball. You're supposed to use a certain ball in say 14U,
Seams
17U. The seams are higher for the lower level so they can grip it because they have smaller hands. I actually have some kids on my 14U team that have way bigger hands than 17-year-olds. So, I mean, listen, yes, for the most part, the majority of players, it benefits. But for some of these players, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
I've had my 14Us playing on 17U. They throw just as well or just as poorly with the same balls that the other kids are using. So, I mean, it's apples and oranges, man. It's apples and oranges. And it's apples to apples when both teams are playing with the same ball, and now you're going to complain. Not during that game or even after that game. This was after they just beat Pittsburgh. So her claims, she didn't even make them after the loss. She waited till they beat their next opponent to go ballistic and say, that's an embarrassment to women's basketball. It could have been an honest mistake. But whether or not it was an honest mistake or not a mistake, it doesn't matter. Both teams had to play with the same ball in the first half of that game.
A lot of innuendos to dodge there on that story.
No, I mean, listen, I'm keeping it clean. I'm just saying, listen, whether it's
good job.
Listen, softball, there's limited flight balls. I played a lot of softball after I retired from baseball, and I played in co-op leagues, and so everybody's worried about there's unlimited flight balls, there's limited flight balls, and then there's restricted balls, and they're all different, and you can tell right away. You can tell right away by holding them. So I don't believe that Carol Lawson's players wouldn't have come off the court and been like, Coach, we're playing with a big ball after the first time out. You would have recognized that after the first time out.
I got a sad story. My sister texted me this morning. I don't know if this means anything to anybody, but for me, it's a pour one out. R.I.P. Lonnie Poffo died,
the wrestler,
known to me as the Genius. Now, people might know Leapin' Lonnie.
I'm older, yeah.
People might know him as Macho Man's younger brother. To me, he was one of the best heels because he's smarter than everyone, and everyone's so stupid in every town that he goes in because he was the Genius.
Yeah, because then he made a lot of wisecracks.
One time I saw him beat Coco Beware. Speaking of Coco,
Dibble, there you go. Pour one out, man. You're pouring a lot out tonight.
Genius. Rest in peace.
All right. The game show that's sweeping the world. Name that wolf. Ow, ow, ow.